You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. That's what you'll hear Frankie Scarpetta singing every Saturday night when he puts on his best blue plaid suit and his yellow polka dotted tie, when he splashes on some cologne, slicks back his hair, and takes his wife dancing. Oh, how they dance. Did you know she still smells just like one of those sweet magnolia blossoms? And that he still looks in her eyes like no other woman ever existed outside of her. He still sings in her ear, slightly off key as usual, her favorite song. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. And they dance. What you may not know is that Frankie's wife passed away 10, 15 years ago. That the dance hall is now a pump and go, and the band, well, who knows what happened to them. And most days, well, Frankie never even leaves his bed over at that Sunnyside Hills. It's behind the pharmacy in Pride's Hollow. Most of the time, he doesn't even know his own kin from somebody else's. But don't you know, every Saturday night, Frankie Scarpetta, he goes dancing. Yeah. He reminds me. In fact, every time I hear that song, it reminds me that no matter what happens to us, no matter what life throws at us, we always get to choose how we see it. It's not about the things that happen to you. It's about the story you write with the things that happen to you. And so no matter what is going on in your life that you think you can't control, there is still one thing you can. And it is the storyline you are writing in your head. It is the story you are writing about that situation or about your abilities or about other people. That story has power. And I want you to be able to tap into that power. The lesson for today is that stories have lessons to them. There is a reason we tell stories. There's a reason we use them as a tool. There's a point to them. There is a lesson to be learned. So when you're out there looking for stories of your own, often, instead of going hunting for stories, which can be very hard to do, I myself have a very hard time doing that, why don't you go hunting for lessons that you have learned? I was helping an executive with a speech for his employees, and he thought it was boring. And he was right. He said, "Why is it boring?" I said, "You don't have any stories in it." I said, "You need stories." He said, "Well, where do I find them?" He's like, "A book?" I'm like, "No, gross. Don't go get a book and read us a story out of a chapter of a book. Yuck. Go find one from your life." So I asked him, I said, "Okay, what's one lesson that you want to teach your people?" He thought about it for a minute. He said that the harder they work at this company, the more opportunities they will have to move up. That they are in direct control of their future here. So I asked him, "Well, how did you learn this lesson? Was there ever a time that you learned that the hard way? Did you learn it because somebody told it to you? Or did you learn it, did it play itself out in your life? Where did you learn that lesson?" And he said, "Well, at this company." He said, "I actually started working out on the docks." He said, "I've done just about every job there is." He said, "I didn't get to be an executive at the company because I had the right degree or knew the right people or was connected." He said, "I got here because every day I came and vowed I would do one more thing than they asked me to do." I said, "Bingo. There's your story." The lesson is what makes your story a tool to teach something. This is why this is not a course in writing a novel or writing a play or writing a movie. This is a course in writing stories that can be used as tools to elicit a response or an action so that you can connect and engage. The lesson is what makes your story a tool to do something. No lesson, no reason for telling the story. Why are you telling it? What did it teach you? What did you learn from it? The story is just your lesson as it applies to life. Story turns it from data into an experience. That image, remember, that we need to connect and engage. So you need a story? Go look through your life at the points that you're making, the lessons that you're teaching, the truths that you have, and go find a real life example where you learned it, where somebody else you know learned it, where you heard of somebody else you know learning that the hard way. It needs to be wrapped in somebody's experience, and it needs to mean something to you telling it. So try to shoot for something that the experience was as close to you as possible. I sort of did with the Frankie Scarpetta. You will notice it's not a story about me. It's a story about him. But I make it about me because I tell you why that story matters to me. Because every time I hear that song, when I see him do that, he shows me that I can deal with the things I'm going on. See how I sort of connected it? So before you write a story, you want to know the lesson.